Celtics Beat is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey everyone, welcome in another new edition of Celtics Beat. Great to be here with you. I am Adam Kaufman with Evan Valenti. We're always here. We have got, you know him from the Boston Globe, of course. You know him from the Big Three podcast as part of the CLNS Media Network. Is he part of Celtic City? We haven't seen him yet, but I suspect we will at some point. Gary Washburn. Gary, welcome. How are you, man?
I'm good, guys. No, I'm not part of Celtic City at all.
No, not at all?
No, not at all.
Why is that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the producers or the directors. Yeah.
That seems like an omission.
I was never approached or anything about it, so no.
See, I've been waiting to see you. We were talking to Steve Bulpett last week. We're waiting for him. We do know he was interviewed. We just haven't seen him yet. And F brought this up, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me. We haven't seen Mike Gorman yet in this show. 5 episodes in out of 9. And, this
is it 9 or 6?
It's 9.
9. Oh, I thought it was 6. Okay, I thought it was 11.
Yeah, no, you got a few more. No. But this would be the era, obviously. We're into the 80s now and Bird and company. And no appearance yet from Mike Gorman. Now, I have no intel as to – I assume that at the very least he was approached. Maybe he declined. I have no idea. But I don't know why. I'm just – sitting here with bated breath waiting for Mike Gorman to appear in this thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I said I was never approached about it. I'm not sure who talked about the current Celtics or the Celtics of the 2010s. So I'm watching. I'll see what happens. But, yeah, I have not been at all approached.
Well, geez, I feel like I'm starting on a sour note here. I don't like that. You should have been in it, Gary. Putting that aside, well, here's another one from I'm setting you up to say I was not approached. We're seeing so Bill Chisholm, as everyone knows at this point in time, is the soon to be new owner of the Boston Celtics, and obviously has been sort of appearing here and there. Like I don't know that he's done much in the way of media outside of. Obviously we saw him do some hits with the TV flagship NBC Sports Boston, and his wife was kind of fangirling out, talking to Abby Chin, and they've said and done all the right things. And there's a lot of like Chris Forsberg, I'm such a fan. We saw a tweet on obviously on Twitter just a couple of days ago that Bill Chisholm, I think prior to the last home game, sought out from CLNS. He chased down Bobby Manning and Noah Dalzell as well to say what a big fan of their work that he is. Now, we here at Celtics Beat, we have not heard from Bill just yet. We're, again, checking my mentions constantly on Twitter. Have you,
no.
Heard that he loves you as well?
No. I probably think he wouldn't love me, but no, I have not seen Mr. Chisholm and have not met him yet. And no, I already – said some good things to Cedric Maxwell, about loving his career and loving what he does. But no, I have not seen him yet. I mean, I saw Wick yesterday in good spirits, but no, I have not been approached or anything. So yeah, I will not be in Celtic City, and I was not been approached by the new owners.
It's coming. I'm sure.
So I'm 0 for 2 right now.
Here, let's talk about this team. You've been writing about, obviously you write about the Celtics all the time, but most recently, a couple articles that you have put out, have done had a lot to do with health, really. A couple days ago, Jaylen Brown, can he stay healthy for the playoffs? He's looked good despite this knee injury the last couple of games, obviously, and the team, despite coming off of what was a perfect 6-0 West Coast trip. And the first time, this kind of blew my mind. First time the Celtics had ever had a 6-0 road trip before. That had never happened in their history. That to me was kind of nuts. But lay an egg against Miami coming back home, I don't think that was altogether shocking. And bounce back very nicely with a good win over a ailing Phoenix team that really only has Devin Booker at this point in time. But as you put out, as we sit here today, most recent article, and people can see it online in the Boston Globe or in the paper, obviously, this team's goals for the final stretch of the regular season, locked into the 2 seed, you're 5 games out behind Cleveland for number 1, not going to happen. So you got 5 games left here to sort of just evaluate things. It's not a grueling schedule. I'll read it to the people. Home against Washington, at New York. That game could be something of a litmus test, especially with Jalen Brunson coming back. At Orlando, a team that months ago everyone was fearing. Heaven forbid you see the Magic in the postseason. And then 2 games at home with the Charlotte Hornets, who are basically a G League team based on their roster at this point in time. So other than, because this again was the focus of your article, other than staying healthy, because of course that's important to everyone at this time of the year entering the playoffs, what is the priority for these final 5?
Yeah, I would think work rotations, get Jaylen as comfortable as he can with his knee injury, obviously not overwork him. We'll see how it goes with the 65-game limit. He's got to play now and still 4 in the last 5 games to reach that limit to be eligible for All-NBA. And if you look at some of the names, there are guys who are not going to make it, like Kevin Durant and Damian Lillard. And I think Brunson's really on the bubble. I think Brunson needs to play in 4 games to reach that. Like, there are some open potential spots where Jaylen could get that 3rd team. And the question is, I thought he lost it out last year to a Devin Booker. Would you vote for Jaylen on a team with championship aspirations who's probably a 60-win season, or would you vote for Devin Booker, a good player on a really underachieving, one of the more disappointing teams in the league? And Kevin Durant's not going to be eligible either. So there's some interesting votes that's going to have to be for that 3rd team. And so Jaylen does have a chance to make it. So I also think Joe needs to play, it's going to play rotations, guys who are not used to playing together, see how that works. Like I mentioned, the Kornet-Porzingis pairing he did in San Antonio, one of the few pairings he really hasn't done much, I think 5 minutes a game on an average they've played together, see how that works. Give guys like Baylor Shireman and as a Hauser some minutes and I don't know, the Torrey Craig thing, it kind of mystifies me. Like, they use him one day, they don't use him the next. He's D&P. Like, I don't know if he's just not working out well, or they're just like, we're going to save you for the playoffs, or I'm not really sure what's going on with the Torrey Craig thing here. And then also they've got an open roster spot. Do they fill it? Do they fill it with one of the G League guys? Obviously, Maine is, I think, in the playoffs in terms of the conference finals, I want to say, tomorrow against Oscolia or whatever the Orlando team is. And that's going to be, a game that all the guys are going to play, I think even Jordan Walsh. And so do you sign one of those guys, the Petersons, the J.D. Davidsons, or the Norris after that to the 15th roster spot? Do you fill it at all? That's something that could be addressed, or do you just go into the playoffs with 14 guys? So there's little things that need to be addressed. I think you got to give Jason some rest. I don't think Jason's looked particularly good over the last couple of games. I think he gets the night off against Washington, although that's another Marcus Smart game. He'll be back. So it'll be good to see Marcus. But, obviously number 2 is locked up. I think that, I think what's important to them is also that road record. If they can go 34-7, that ties the 16 Warriors with the best road record of all time. I think that's important to them. And then I think sending a message to the Knicks that you just can't beat us, but we'll see how with the lineups they'll present in that game, national TV game. It's important. And then the next night in Orlando. So there's little things that need to be addressed. I mean, this team is playing very good basketball. The Miami game, he hit a lot of shots. Of course, Kyle Anderson became the latest, like, who the hell is that guy? Or how is that guy scoring 20 on the Celtics? Like, it's just been like that all year. The Dylan Brooks guys, the Caleb Martins who just find it that one game. And I think Pelle Larsson, if I'm not mistaken, scored 3 points against Memphis the next night. It's crazy, the drastic numbers when the guys play the Celtics, and then the next night they end up going back to their, it's like a caterpillar or a butterfly back to a caterpillar, I guess. It's just like they go back to the thing that they were before. So I think there's a lot of little things that are going to go on over the next week, but health is most important.
Can you make something, Gary? You mentioned that, and it's something that we've all talked about, the road record. They're chasing history here.
What do you make of this home court thing? Because they're 25-13 at home, especially when they come back from a long road trip. The numbers are even worse. What is this? Because they're absolutely Bill Simmons threw out the other day that he hopes they drop to the 3 seed so they play more road games. I know that's kind of a joke, but at the same time, they're unbelievably poised in the road, and it's like they don't care at home, especially like the first game back of a long road trip. What is this? What do we do? Is this just like whatever? Or is this something we should actually be slightly concerned about?
Well, guys, I mean, like this has always been a problem. Like for years, before Joe, before Ime, they've always had been a strange home team. Like where they lose games at home that they should win. They win, it's like, I mean, obviously that infamous Miami series where they lost 3 of the games at home, including the game 7. It's hard to pinpoint. I'm kind of tired of the first road game back from home game from back from the road trip excuse. I think it's mumbo jumbo. I mean, you get a full day off. Now, if you had a back-to-back, if you had finished a road trip in Philadelphia or Cleveland, and then you come back home the next night, and then you've got a home game, that might be something. But, they had just finished beating up Memphis. They had a very good win. They come against a Miami team that's playing well, but just played too well, too comfortable. I mean, Pelle Larson's getting to the free throw line Pelle Larson 9 times. It was just a really funky game. And they lost by 21. I was concerned, but I just think they've got to be more focused, especially those game ones. That's the thing. Game 1 against whatever, Atlanta, Orlando, Miami, Chicago, whoever they play in the first round. Obviously, game 1 against the Knicks. If that's that, they've got to not put themselves in a hole and lose that game 1. And that's the thing. Or even game 2. They lost a couple of home games last year against Miami and Cleveland in the playoffs. So I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not like there's lack of Celtic fans there. It's not like it's not a raucous atmosphere. It's not like it's a atmosphere to where they feel like they can do their best things and they're comfortable. But there's just something about the Garden this year. And in past, last year they were great, but 13 losses, far too many.
Let's take a quick break. Tell you about our good friends over at Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. That's 1,000x. Seriously, it's crazy. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. In as little as 15 minutes, you just watch that money roll into your account. Heck, Prize Picks even uses Venmo. It is that easy. So, literally, nothing easier than that. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after playing your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app today. The code CLNS. You get $50 instantly after playing your first lineup for only $5. Prize Picks. Run your game. Let's get back to the show. Back here with Gary, and I want to go back to something you mentioned before with Jaylen Brown, and obviously chasing, maybe chasing's not the right word, but certainly being interested in the postseason award recognition. And as you said, times have changed from what they were in recent years now that there is this 65-game minimum. Jaylen has 61 games right now. That means he has to play in 4 of the final 5 to be eligible for third-team All-NBA, for example, or an All-Defensive team, or you name it. And I just kind of wonder, I'm not making a big thing out of it, because I do think at the end of the day, winning another championship is the most important thing to these guys, most certainly to the front office, coaching staff, top down as far as the players. But I don't know. Knowing that he is dealing with this bulky knee, and again, you've written extensively about this, and yeah, we've seen him perform pretty well over the last couple of games, all things considered, maybe even a little bit better than Jason Tatum, as you alluded to. But is it important to the organization that he play in 4 out of these last 5 versus, maybe we do sit him a couple and he misses out on getting that extra trophy or whatever it may be, or maybe it affects bonus or what have you. versus sort of the bigger picture of the postseason?
I think that's a discussion he's going to have, and I'm sure had with the organization and the coaching staff and his trainers to figure out whether it's good for him to play on the knee and just get it comfortable enough to withstand the pounding. And I think this last couple of games have been kind of okay, Jaylen, like you have a knee injury, whatever it is, bone bruise. I don't know if there's like where he might need a scope at the end of the season. Who knows? Like it could be just potentially like a bone bruise where it's just like the only way, Jaylen, you're going to get healthy is to stay off of it. We all know that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to get used to playing with it, withstanding the pain. You know, maybe it's a situation where he really can't make it worse. It's a pain threshold type of situation. So I think the last couple of games have been him trying to figure out, okay, how can I maneuver and get to the basket? I thought he's done well, 31 points against Phoenix, and just kind of like shooting the mid-range, just kind of playing an old, like he said, Paul Pierce, playing that old man's game as opposed to like, you know, getting someone off the first step and just dunking on him. I think those are good things, and he needs probably more reps doing that way, but does that put more pounding and potentially damage on the knee? That's a good question. How's he coming away from these games? Is he limping to his car? Is he, you know, having to do all this treatment at home? Is he really laboring, just trying to make it? Now, if that's the case, then he should sit down until game one against whoever on probably Sunday, probably 2 weeks from tomorrow, and, you know, just prepare then and take the 2 weeks off. It all depends on, is there contract stipulations in his deal about making all NBA? How important is that to him? Does not playing 65 games, is that a sign of weakness for him? Like, you know, you couldn't make it, you couldn't get it done, you couldn't, you know, is a test of his endurance. So like, is he looking at it like that? Like, I can make it to the finish line, I'm not going to shut it down until the playoffs. I'll be fine. Like, all that plays into it. So I think it's interesting. It's an interesting topic because, you know, Jason's made it, Peyton's made it. We all know, like, Drew and Kristaps. I think Drew, not sure. I don't think he's missed a little bit more than. I don't think he's going to make it. But just like Derek, the guys who are going to be up potentially for something are all clear. But Jaylen's the one. It's like, we'll see how this all goes. And then you've got those two meaningless games against Charlotte. You know, you can excuse, okay, play him against Washington. You know, I guess. You can play him in the road games, or you can maybe say, okay, Jaylen, you know, you'll miss, you'll play in New York, but you'll get the night off against Orlando. But then that means he has to play both games against Charlotte, against, like you said, Adam, the Greensboro Swarm. They're the G League team, basically. So is that good for him to play 20 minutes against a bunch of G Leaguers? You know, who knows, on the final day of the season where it's going to be J.D. Davidson, Drew Peterson, Jordan Walsh, and, you know, Xavier Tillman as the other four starters. So that's an interesting, do you put him in that environment? Which game does he miss? Is it, he said it's not important, but really is it? All these things have to be addressed. And I think some of the stuff we don't know. I think we'll find out when we look at the injury report later today whether he's going to be listed as questionable for the Washington game tomorrow. And how do you treat those two Charlotte games, which the Hornets are trying to get Cooper Flagg. I mean, they're terrible. The Celtics don't, you know, like that's going to be two basically scrimmages.
Yeah, it's curious to me, like, I don't know if there's a ruling on this. I haven't seen anybody write about it, but there's a ruling about, could Jaylen start the game and then the first whistle be taken out and just never play the rest of the game, and that still count as a game played?
Yeah, I think it's minutes too, or something like that. You know,
this is Josh Allen coming in taking a snap.
It's exactly what I'm thinking about. Josh Allen comes in for the first series against the Patriots in Week 18, and then as soon as he threw like one pass, or I think he handed it off, and he even Gillette gave him a standing O as he left the field. It was an interesting time.
Yeah. I mean, That's the thing, guys. You don't know, because I know it's a minutes thing too. I think he'd have to play 20. I don't think he can do the whole like play the first 4 minutes and then check out and wave to the crowd and be like, okay, like but that is a game played, but I don't know how many times he could do that. I'm sure 1 or 2, but I don't know, like, because if that's the case, you'd have some guys doing that for 10 games just to get to the 65. So I think there's a preventative rule in there. And looking at Charlotte's record, I mean, they have the 3rd worst record. Utah looks like they're a game and a half ahead of Washington. They look like they're going to have. But remember, guys, the first 3 teams have kind of an equal amount of ping pong balls. So, right. I mean, obviously, Cooper Flag could save the Charlotte franchise. So I have no question they're going to try to lose those 2 games big time. So that's going to be an interesting thing. Who do you play in those 2 games? How long do you play? And what do you do with Jaylen? And what game does he miss? Because it looks like if you got a day off between Washington, day off with New York, and I'm sure he'll want to play at the Garden, and you give him Orlando off, do you play in those last 2 Charlotte games? You know, and how frustrating would it be for him if he got to 64? You know, I think he's close enough. You probably want to go for it.
So I was just reading this real quick, and then we got to get going here. But the NBA's 65-game rule, which is what we keep alluding to here, the player plays in at least 65 regular season games, has to play in at least 62 regular season games, playing in at least 85% of regular season games played by his team prior to the players suffering any sort of injury. So blah, 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 blah. A player, however, must log at least 20 minutes of action in the game for it to be counted toward their games played total. Players are allowed up to 2 instances where they play between 15 and 20 minutes for that game to still count. So, for example, if a player exits a game due to injury after logging 12 minutes and does not return, that game does not count toward the player's total. So, you can't do the 4 minutes and thanks for coming. You got to get up there for at least 15.
That's too bad. It's too bad. Because that's I get it, especially if it's like a financial.
Maybe
thing.
don't miss games before the All-Star break.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and then participate in the All-Star break. And like there, this 8 argument as old as as time. All right. Before we sign off, Gary, very quickly here: Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston. It's not Cal, I know, but quick predictions: who wins?
We'll be there next year, guys.
It ain't Syracuse either, Kaufman. So we're screwed too.
Yeah,
but Melo's in the Hall of Fame, baby. Yeah,
but the Cuse is getting all these freaking transfers. Like I think Carmelo's opening up that NIL checkbook. Like they got the kid from I think Florida State, or they got some kid
Georgia State,
Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's point guard. Oh man,
don't forget his kid.
Oregon State's sharpshooter also coming east.
Wow. So times look good for the Cuse. Man, I'm gonna say Duke, but I like Houston. I wish it was Duke and Houston on the opposite bracket that could play in the championship game.
Yeah.
But I guess I'll give it to Duke. They haven't had a close game. Houston got kind of not lucky, but held on against Purdue. That great inbounds play. They kind of broke Tennessee down defensively, and but I'm going to say Duke. And I'm not a Duke hater. I'm kind of whatever about Duke, but I think they're the most talented team. That Florida Auburn, obviously old SEC battle, that's going to be a war too.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Duke and Florida for me, with Duke winning
Florida,
the whole thing. Those have been my predictions for weeks at this point in time. So I'm just trying to will it all in here and hope we can finish putting that puzzle together. But Gary Washburn, again, get him on Twitter at @GWashburnGlobe. Of course, check him out in the Globe, the physical edition for those of you that still like getting some of the ink on your fingers, or of course digitally on bostonglobe.com. And of course, check out, as part of the CLNS Media Network, the Big 3 podcasts. And Gary, we always enjoy chatting with you, man. This one a little abbreviated, but we'll do it again soon. Playoffs right around the corner, obviously.
Thanks a lot, guys. Always good being here. Anytime.
Absolutely. With Gary, of course, Evan, I am Adam. Thanks, everyone, for watching, listening. We'll catch you again next week.